Welcome, welcome, welcome to Black Jewel Recovery Coach. This is going to be an introduction to my new podcast to tell you a little bit about myself and where we go from here. UL.
Hi, greetings. I am Nicole Haldane, artist extraordinaire, world renowned. I'm here really getting into the crux of why it is that we do the work that we do. I thank you, Jewel, for giving me the opportunity to be here with you, to be present with you as we journey into this introduction together and for us, by us. And if you know what it means for FUBU to still be a thing.
Right?
Speaking to that hip hop, right?
Yes. 50
It's not
years.
just a music genre, it's a culture.
Definitely.
So, Jewel, tell us a little bit about what we'll be talking about today. What's our topic for today?
I'm gonna give it to you straight out the box. It's 50 years of hip hop, the crack epidemic, and the trauma left behind. We're gonna focus on the psychological damage that's left behind in our people as a whole and in that culture. So yeah, let's get started.
Let's get in. Yeah, let's get in. So, who are you? How'd you come into this work? This is such a big topic, and honestly, I feel like we have a lot of conversations about hip hop, right? We got a lot of podcasts speaking on hip hop culture, but we don't have a whole lot of podcasts talking about the trauma, the psychological trauma of hip hop and the legacy that it's sort of like intertwined with drugs and the epidemic that has really continued to plague our community in one way or another, whether that be the aftermath of that, right? Mm-hmm. Where, children are having to deal with the psychological traumas of what their parents have, sort of put them under the condition of, or if it's, them themselves having to sort of navigate this world. There's a lot to be talked about, and I'm just curious what brought you to this work, and just a little bit about who you are, and yeah, because I think that's important to just name.
Okay, thank you, Elle, for that question. So, I am 50 years old. My first song I remember is the Sugar Hill Gang. So
you 50 what? Stop playing with them. Black don't crack.
I'm 50.
You look good.
I'm 50, all angles.
Yes.
But I'm 50 and I survived the crack epidemic. So who I was then and who I am now is totally changed because I definitely lived that life and I was about that life. So who I am now, I am a mother. I am a grandmother. I'm definitely a lover. Let's not leave that out. I love my culture. I love my Black people. I love my people. So I became a recovery life coach because I did delve into, that life, as well as a yin yoga instructor and breath work, practicing breath work, releasing the trauma that is stored in our tissues. We'll go over that a little bit more. I became a minister. Oh, what else do I do? Yoga, minister. I hold 2 meditations a week over Zoom, which you know about. But what I really bring to the table is my wholeness as being a Black, Indigenous American, African. And I was saved. This has been a spiritual journey, nonetheless. That's who I am. That's who I am.
Yeah, that was beautiful. I love that you mentioned that this is a spiritual journey. For me, that brings up just an understanding that this is layered. This doesn't happen overnight. And so, leading us into our question around why is this important, I'd love for you to maybe explain to us a little bit about what you mean by this is a spiritual journey. Maybe just talk to us a little bit.
Yes.
And let us know what's speaking through you.
When I say a spiritual journey, I'll give you a little backlash. I grew up in a Christian household and my mother was sick. So I found myself praying a lot and asking and begging, and I seen miracles. I've seen my mom almost die, and I've prayed. I formed a connection with the Spirit, the Most High, the infinite intelligence early on in life, and that moral compass guided me and stayed with me all of these years. And so I'm ever grateful to even be here, to be present, to even tell my story. Had I not formed that inkling, that loving connection, I wouldn't be here. I would have been dead 4 times over, and I know that for a fact. For a fact. And it is what it is. And so having that moral compass, when I got out there in the streets, it saved me, because it was just shit I wasn't going to do. I just ain't going to do it. You can't get me to do it. You can't buy me to do it. You can't force me to do it. I fight, right? And that's what being in the world and living in the crack epidemic and that war that was plagued, women, children, young girls, my heart goes out, because I know what positions that I was placed in. And innocently, like something to just pop off. And I'm like, wow, how did I get here? But I always had a connection where I would get myself out of it. And it was like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. I'm clicking my red shoes 3 times on Pyru, and I'm up out of there, right?
Uh-oh.
And I'm grateful. And so, and I say that because I will never take away what the game showed me in life, and then what God gave me in life. And so having that street charisma along with that Holy Spirit, I'm here today in Africa. So it's like I will never forget where I came from. All of it. All of it. When we call on our ancestors and the energies that we get from each family member, I could talk about my Aunt Joanne and her power. I could talk about my Aunt Dot and her legal defense, pencil pimping that I would call it, but she did it. She had a handle with paperwork. I call on my mother as that nurturer and gathering. Our house was always open. There was always food on the stove and, the couch, the bed. It was always just open and loving. I call on my Aunt Rachel, who told me, Tiny, never let them tell you no. If you want it, go get it. And that's who I became.
Accumulation of all of your ancestors.
Yes.
All of the people speaking with you and through you.
Definitely.
That's beautiful. We're going to move into discussing why people should be listening. And I think in order for us to really get into this segment, right, I think we need to know a little bit more about your connection to what you would describe as the street life and hip hop. And what could have been the possibility of you interacting with someone like you nowadays with the messages that you have today? What impact could that have had?
I could be in prison or I could be dead. Jails, institutions, and death is what the crack epidemic gave our people. And really was no way out. It's either you did this or you did that. The ones who reached the top and got out of it, bless them. But I'm speaking to the tribe that is left behind, that suffered, and it's multifaceted. It's generational curses that we've all suffered, the children, the mother, and the grandmother, grandfather. And I'm here to address that and lift these curses and saying we can thrive. We could rise above it. We could change our mindset and remove ourselves from the mental, psychological strain that it has, the shackles. We could take the shackles off the brain. We could remove them.
Do you think if you had heard that when you were younger and you were in the streets, you would have listened?
I'm not going to go back and say woulda, shoulda, coulda. I'll tell you what happened. My mother died when I was 14 years old. A year before that, she would come to me and say, Tiny, I'm going to die. What are you going to do? Who are you going to live with? And she prepared me. She taught me how to pay rent. She taught me how to cook, wash clothes, take care of the children. I've been working since I was 6 years old, if it wasn't nothing but sweeping and wiping the dust out of the windowsill. So she gave me a work ethic. She gave me a heart of gold, and I appreciate her so much. My mother, everybody adored her, and she cooked. She was an amazing cook. Had I not had that structure at home, I wouldn't have made it. And what else it taught me is how to navigate people. Because I was the youngest, I would always just sit back and watch people and watch their interactions. And whatever happened, I may not have said nothing, but what I did was read energy and read the room and knew if I should go home, sit back, shut up. And that's what happens when you come from a big family. And what I could say, me living now, what happened is having my child. I had an apartment at 15 years old. So when I gave birth, he came home to his own apartment. I lived my life in the streets. I did whatever I thought I had to do to take care of him, put Nikes on his feet, diapers, toilet paper and tampons. I wrote about it, right? It was real. It was very real. And she prepared me because she said, when you die, you're not going to be the favorite. And nobody's going to love you. So that gave me a fearless, courageous attitude that I'm going to take care of myself, and I'm going to prove to all of my family members that I can make it on my own. And that's what I did. That's what I did to the best of my ability. Here now, if you said I would have listened, I thought I was listening then. But what I come to accept is that I had a mind of a child. I was a child. And some people will say you were an orphan. I was left. I was left with the wolves. And I became the leader. Because look at me now. Rising above the mentality, getting off of drugs, going to get my education with, childbearing, having children. I did the best I could, with what I had. And I'm still working on myself. The biggest room is the room for improvement, self-improvement, right? Let's never forget that. But I always strive to improve myself. I went to school for diesel mechanic. I went to school for business, human services. And I continually was always taking a course and, in and out of the game, right? Like, no, I can't do that. I done did too much. Let me go. And so I just navigated the states and found myself in different places, but to continue to praise God, to love God, to call on God's name, and to call on my ancestors. And what I didn't know is how powerful it is to just talk to your ancestors. Because when I was crying to my mom, why did you leave me? What is the next step? She heard me. And that's what I didn't understand. Now that I can say it's powerful when we venerate our ancestors, when we speak the word to the all-knowing. And that's what saved me. That's why I'm here today to say that we can lift these curses. We can take away these traumas, but we do it together as a collective. And when you cry, I cry. When you laugh, I laugh. And that's what it's about. It's a give and take of exchange of energy and showing compassion and empathy. And it ain't for everybody. Everybody can't do this work. I spoke about some of the things I did, but I've also been able to be a deaf doula to people to provide that service. It's just been a wonderful spiritual journey. Like, everybody can't do the work. Everybody don't have the heart to be open, and everybody can't be a keeper of secrets, right? So this is a position where you don't go around gossiping. This is a sacred space, and I want to build on that so we can come about these things and the psychological strain that we've been under, and this war, this epidemic that's been plagued our people, where we're catatonic. Nobody want to speak truth to the trauma. There's incest, molestation, and rape, and that's just within the family unit. We're not even talking about what's done outside by whitey or, white society, white supremacy. We're talking about home, where the cliche is what goes on here stays here. It ain't nobody's business. We're going to knock down that door first.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. And what I hear you saying is, if you were to have gone back to yourself at that time and kind of what you're offering to the world right now is an opportunity to really know that you're not alone, that your ancestors are with you, and that you are here to help build a community if they're so willing and choosing and wanting to and desiring that. Building a community that can sort of help to work through some of those psychological traumas. A community where you can be open to have a conversation. And that's really, really powerful.
And not only that, it's ceremony and ritual, where I've taken ones to the ocean and did cleansing rituals and full moon rituals, where we're releasing that trauma out of our system. And then with yin yoga, these poses that we get into releases the negative energy that is stored. We call them nadis. These are stuck energies that has to be released, because you think you healed and you worked on something, but you got leg pain and back pain and you got headaches. This is stuck energy that has to be moved.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love that you have that also as a place or a point to offer people as well along this journey that we're taking in this podcast. I think we have a lot to be in practice around, and I'm grateful that you have decided that this was the time, that this was the most right time for you to offer what it is that you've learned along the way. Because we need more than talk therapy. You're absolutely right. We need those rituals and we need those ceremonies. So giving thanks for you for offering that in addition to what you already do by even just shining a light on the trauma that we oftentimes leave unsaid.
Thank you.
So tell me, now I feel like we've gotten a chance to know you and know what you're offering, know where you've come from. I'd love for us to really just maybe reach into our hopes and our dreams for this future of this podcast and really begin to answer the question, why is this important and why should people be listening?
It's important because we're important and we deserve to be acknowledged and heard. I'm gonna tell
you. Talk that talk now. Come on.
I'm emotional because I'm passionate, because I lived a life where I screamed and nobody heard me. And when I talked, nobody listened. How can you approach something where there's a wall so thick that Clint Eastwood can't you shoot his magnum through?
I don't know who that is, but I get you.
He's this old western that always see 4-5. 4-5 a magnum. Bow, dude, you gotta hold it, anyway. That's me and my shit, a 9, a magnum, hey, whatever. But not being heard. We have that in our culture where children are to be seen and not heard. Meanwhile, they're getting molested, experiencing rape and incest. My own families carry that around, and I want to see that broken. I want to see all of us being held accountable in a sacred space where we acknowledge it, we work on it, and we move as one to build a better foundation for the next 7 generations moving forward. So when I call on my ancestors, I say 7 generations back and 7 generations forward, because we live simultaneously all at once. But when we're here in the present and you're hurting and you're in pain and you feel like nobody understands you, nobody loves your black skin, nobody loves your thick hips and your lips, this is a space for us, FUBU, for us, by us. And this is a deserving space where we speak truth to light and we speak truth to that pain that we all have suffered somewhere in this lifetime. From our ancestors being slaves, from us being bull whipped and water hose in the street and dogs let out on us and hung, to even Brenda's got a baby. You think about the thug needs love. I'm a part of that culture. I lost a nephew to police violence. They shot him in the head and they said it was suicide. Not Nino, not my nigga. And I said it, and for people who don't get it, that was my baby. I changed his diapers. I knew him. And he had my back, wrong, right, or indifferent. And I would, when you know somebody, you know somebody. We have to come together to build us up. If we don't, our children won't have a future. And it stops now. I say this stops now with me. My great-grandchildren will experience something different, and I'm going to leave them something different. I've been given this opportunity. I've answered the call, and I'm not perfect, right? I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect, but what I am, I'm here for somebody who needs a listening ear, a shoulder to cry on, and just to have a dialogue, a conversation around the hurt and pain. I wish somebody was there. And why it's so important is because when we go to these white institutions that don't have our best interests, like I did for years, we still are broken. They're not there to fix us. They're there to feed us medications and keep the perpetual lie going that we're not good enough and that we are slaves and that we are less than. And they call it a subculture. When I was in college and, the professor was like sub, and I was like, I ain't sub nothing. And I will not be acknowledged as sub. I got indignant, like, no, you won't. No, you're going to recognize who I am for me. And whether it was true what she was writing, how we were on the bottom, I felt I was going to be on the top wherever I went, whatever room I walked in. I will not be recognized as less than. And that's what we got to do when we see our babies in the street. Like, baby, no, you better than that. We got to uplift and build their souls up, build their spirits up. The soul is the blood, the spirit is the breath. Together we can. We have to uplift. I'm not here to downgrade or you ain't shit and you ain't got this. Fuck the rims, the big car, the big jewelry, all of that fancy whoop wop. But no, it's not about that. It's about showing up and just be present in spirit. Your life force energy. That's what this is about. This is what I want to see when I look at my soldiers and look them in the eyes, and I look at my babies. I want to see that light shine. And if you may not experience, I know that I'm older than you, but when you look at some children, by the age of 9, you can see they're already lost. How sad. And see, when I talk to people, I look them in their eyes because the soul is the gateway. The eyes is, through. I'm sorry I got tongue tied, but you know what I'm trying to say. Look through the eyes is a gateway to the soul. And I make it my business to look people in their eye. And like I was taught, being a man and a woman, you look people in the eye. There's no fear. And when you're able to do that and your souls meet, you can see yourself inside of them. And then it brings humanity back into the sacred circle because we are one.
Wow. Wow. Just need a moment to soak that in. That was beautiful. Honest. And I felt that. Okay. So you got some affirmations for us?
Yes. I see nothing but abundance of love around me. I feel nothing but the best around me. When I see the energies that be set before me and walk, my ancestors are with me and beneath me, all around me. The road has been paved clear for me. And that golden light that's within me guides me. So today I begin the journey to see the light within me that's in you. Together, this affirmation will bring light, and when we breathe in, we imagine that white light, that golden light, and we can imagine it as the sun, but we breathe that light in through our crown and just say, I feel the energy. Infinite intelligence be with me, and I attract all the greatness that's within me.
Thank you so much.
I have an affirmation book. And let me see. I am open and ready for all the yumminess that the universe has for me. I cannot help to attract all the money and business and the right people in my life that's for me. I am lucky, I am happy, and I'm grateful. Every wind that turns is for my safety. I am respected, I am loved, and I am worthy. Let's see. That was probably a couple weeks ago. But saying these things like this, I restore my dental and health presentation, and my body's image is balanced and in harmony. I align with the solar system that's within me. Infinite intelligence come to me. Things like this are speaking power into our life. I could keep going, so I'm gonna stop because I'll just keep going. But it is good. Maybe, excuse me, baby. Let me put this back in my safety deposit box. I do affirmations, and I change them a couple times a week. And I know that's a part of my healing. You know, my mission in life is to have a healing center, Epitha Foundation. So Epitha is my foundation. You can find that in the Bible. Micah 5:2 speaks about Epitha, right? So that's my foundation. Jewel is my name and life is my game, right? But my ultimate goal is to have a healing center where it's hydrotherapy, sound therapy, crystal healing therapy, going to the ocean and performing more rituals around trauma and healing trauma and generational trauma, cleansing. That's my ultimate goal. That's like, when I see this, I know I've made it. And, you know, I've had dreams about the house or this institution. Is white with 4 big pillars and it's stacked 3 pillars high. But in the middle is a gold dome and it opens up so we could look at the sun and do our meditations, and also the full moon, the equinox, and the new moon, and really honor our ancestors. And so when I had that dream, I couldn't believe it. And then I had the dream with Epitha across the gate, and it opened out, and people just came in for healing. And this is what this is about. This is bringing healing to the next 10 generations and leaving a legacy of life learning, but of life learning healing, and to keep the healing going and learning and always implementing new ways to heal. So this is not, going in the clinic taking a shot. No, this is a respite, because we as Black people, we need rest. And we're worthy of that rest. We've been through a lot. That's my dream. And it's been my dream for so long. I think I live and breathe Epitha. That was my business name, where I did healing oils and butters. And now I've been blending chakra oils for alignment. I just love blending oils. It's a passion. It's just something I love to do. But soon I'll be offering those oils as well.
That's pretty cool. I think people would love to be able to partake in those offerings that you have.
Well, come on, everybody.
And so we look forward to, you say that again?
I said, come on, everybody. You're all are welcome here.
You're right. So we definitely look forward to the next episodes, the next podcast, because there's a lot to dive into, and there's a lot of practices that you have to offer us. And so, we give thanks in advance for what you share with us today and the vision that you've outlined for us moving forward. Because if we are serious about the for us, by us, then we have to do it in a way that helps us to sustain ourselves in the future in a healthy way. And that requires that we take a look at these traumas that have plagued us. So thank you so much for offering that to us.
You're welcome. And I'd like to add that it's not all about the women. It's about the men too. And maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, I was listening to a YouTube video, and I heard Professor James Small say he addressed trauma, and he was like, men have to stop. And I really just was like, that's what we need, our elder men too, to come in more. I'm saying this is a space open for male and female, right? And whether it's elders or young children, we all have something to offer, and we all have something to gain by coming together. So I really just want this to be an open space and for everybody to be comfortable and know that they're trusted. It's a trusted community here, or we can be trusted together.
Michelle. So again, thank you all. Would you like to close us out with a thank you and some final words?
Final words is, I'm so honored to answer the call to even be in Africa. I'm so honored by my ancestors and the ancients who've seen it in me, that gave me a mission and to carry out a plan that's greater than me, because I'm not doing this on my own. So I'm honoring them today. And I'm so happy to be in this sacred space and to be of service, and wanting to do it, wanting to be here and wanting to offer myself up as a sacrifice, knowing that I've walked in the valley of deep shadow. I've sat with demons. I've sat in hell. And I walked out on the other side. So I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful to be here. And keep on keeping on. Thank you.